Back on MorningLine, thanks for joining us this morning. Just a really interesting topic on a new group. I guess it's been in existence for about a year now, right?
That's correct, yes.
Veterans Adventure Group. And Justin Matichek's with us. He's the president and founder of the group. Mike McGuire is a veteran who's been through the program. I don't know if it's a program, the group, the activities, the fun stuff they do to help, I guess, integrate them back into society here, stateside, after they've been doing what they were doing overseas. And, you know, if you would, just, we're going to get to some phone calls here, Brian, if you'll hang on. But during the break, we were talking about how, you know, the genesis of this idea for you. And it was when you were over there in a vehicle that got hit by an IUD. You weren't injured, but a friend of yours was.
Yeah, so I'll never forget it. So I was in my second tour in Afghanistan, getting ready to go to the military.
IUD, right. Okay,
yeah, and I was kind of thinking, like, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life. And I always would joke that God would have to drop a brick off the sky, hit me in the head, tell me what to do with my life.
Yeah.
And instead he has a sense of humor and blew me up. And I kind of learned right then. But I'll never forget, so when our vehicle got hit, my driver lost his leg. And as I was keeping conscious, waiting for the medevac to come in, all I could think about is, like, this guy's gonna go home. Everyone's gonna feel sorry for him. Everyone's gonna pity him.
Yeah.
But I know how amazing of a man this guy is and how much he's capable of. And I made a deal with him right then and there. I was like, hey, when we get back, let's climb Mount Rainier together. And I kind of felt a little twisted about it. I don't think he really had realized he had lost his leg at this point. He wasn't able to see and really feel anything in his lower body. But we made this deal, and which kind of brings us to where we're at now, to a certain degree too. He's also climbing on our mountaineering team this year. So we're stoked to really get an opportunity to really, for me personally, complete this promise we originally made.
Right.
But you know, so originally I got it with this idea of working with the wounded, you know, veterans. And then I got out, and about 6 months after being out, yeah, I was going to college at this time, and I was miserable, and I couldn't really figure out why. You know, I really didn't feel like I was suffering
from... You weren't diagnosed with PTSD because of the IED explosion or anything like that?
No, I had no diagnosis for PTSD.
Right.
I wasn't wounded in any other capacity. Like, ultimately, I was good to go as far as the Army standard.
But something was missing when you came back.
Yeah, there was this big void in my life. And, you know, imagine what it's like being in a college classroom where you're surrounded by a bunch of, you know, young kids just out of high school that really don't have the same life experiences.
They have no way of knowing what
you know, their concern is where the party's at this weekend. And I'm thinking, like, there's people dying overseas, and you got this complete, you know, so it's very fresh and very alienating. And anyway, it got really bad. I'll never forget, one day I just sat down and I started writing down everything that was bothering me. And I had this huge list, and I kind of put everything together, and it all came down to a lack of team and a lack of purpose. You know, I was used to operating in these small teams, doing these, you know, extreme, you know, these really important missions, and I didn't have that anymore. And what kind of got me out of this whole rut was I got on a mountain bike and I started mountain biking. And, you know, slowly I could tell my mentality was starting to change. And I started meeting other, you know, people in the smaller mountain biking community in the area, and we got to doing things. I was like, you know, there's so many other guys out there like me that, you know, they don't have any kind of medical diagnosis from the VA, but they're struggling. You know, and you look at, you know, these veterans committing suicide every day. You know, there's a lot of them that probably, as far as the Army's concerned or the military's concerned, are completely okay. And unfortunately, you know, there's so much emphasis put on the guys who are wounded, the guys who have PTSD and TBI, which I'm not saying is not a problem. It's great. There's a lot of need for that. But we've forgotten about the majority of veterans out there that they may have their job, they may have their family, but they are hurting. You know, they need something more. And this is something we can kind of give back to them, and give them back that, you know, that pride they had while they're in the military. Pretty much make them, as I could say, you know, we want to get veterans just as excited about what they're doing now as they were about what they did in the military.
Yeah, right.
You know,
it's a fantastic idea, and I totally know that's a forgotten, undiagnosed group of folks out there that are suffering. That you know, it's not readily obvious from an injury, or they haven't been diagnosed with some horrible case of PTSD necessarily, but they're still. Oh, they all come back. I mean, that way. I can't imagine. The vast majority of everyone who comes back that's been in something is coming back with some baggage. Am I right?
You're not going to come back and not change someone.
You just can't. You change
no
somehow, right? And to different degrees depending on the individual. But everyone, that's why this could really... Let's see what Brian has to say. Brian, good morning.
Hey, yeah, I did some work for the government in Desert Storm after I graduated from University of Illinois in '88. And then I did a little work for them. And, you know, most of all, I have to say that guys, you know, just slow down, stay focused. I noticed the one guy when he was talking really fast. And that was one thing I know. You've got to learn to relax. And also, I think they should take advantage of the wilderness of eastern Tennessee and the mountain trails over there more instead of flying out west.
Well, you probably use, I mean, this state's great for outdoor stuff. I know what he's saying, but
so we
don't have mountains here, though.
We actually
well, we got Smokies, I know, but not like Rainier. All right.
So we actually just started a whole hiking group within our nonprofit. That's what they're doing. There's a big trail they're building that's going to be 300 miles. I think they have like the first like 150 miles done so far. But we have a team setting out to do a 50-mile hike on this trail here soon. But you know, there is a lot of local stuff that we are doing, and we do have some of these lower and less intense activities, you know, for veterans as well to do, such as these hikes and so forth.
Yeah, you know, that's what I would figure, and you'll just keep getting new ideas as you expand beyond. So how many veterans have been through this so far?
So last year we sent 8 veterans through our actual team side of it. That being said, though, we also hold several like weekend events where open to all, and so we've helped, you know, we've worked with several veterans in that aspect. But yes, we had 8 veterans actually go through our program where they were put on a team. They got a skill, they went through the programs and got the equipment, and now are operating in teams independently.
And that was the mountain climbing and skydiving? Were those the two?
Yes.
And you went through the skydiving one? Okay. So how did you get the word out, and are there fundraisers? How's it going to grow now? Because like I said, I wasn't as familiar with this until talked to Mary Elena, our producer, who knew about it through you. So
you know, a lot of how we got the word out was social media, and then just through my connections as well. You know, we just kind of, I've been wanting to do this for years. You know, this is why I got out of the military, and there's a lot of things I needed to get right in my personal life first, so I could do this, so that way I could be financially independent, so I could do this without actually having to take money from the nonprofit to fund myself for my own living expenses. So we were able to get it set up where, you know, I can run this full time, completely as a volunteer, which allows me to spend my days, you know, advocating for all this.
Right.
And you know, we do a lot of fundraising. Ultimately, that being said, we're working on getting into grants, but what we don't have, you know, a lot of grants and a lot of companies look for this track history of, you know, you've been around for several years. So it's been kind of hard to, you know, show like, you know, hey, we're here and we're here to stay.
Yeah, you've got to build it. You're just starting.
Yeah, we're just getting going. But you know, we have raised a lot of money actually selling T-shirts, like the ones we're wearing.
Yeah, they're cool shirts.
We funded our entire mountaineering team off of selling shirts.
That's awesome. Well, now, where do you sell them? I mean, online, but at various events? Or?
Yeah, so we sell them online. We have a web store through Square under Veterans Adventure Group, where we have the T-shirts, stickers, all sorts of cool stuff on there that we sell. You know, and then we also do fundraisers as well. We did an event up in Minnesota called the Gravity Games, where we skydived in with flags and all this, and we played paintball and we did rappelling. That was open to all. You know, and my argument is like, we can tell people about what we do, but I'd much rather actually get people out there and experience it themselves.
To see it for themselves. And as you say, civilians do it as well. So.
Oh yeah.
Now we have some video that we can roll as well, I think. Do we have that, Mary? We can take. Yeah. Talk a little bit about this. I don't know if there's audio on here as well. But.
Yeah. So this is actually base jumping. This is probably the most extreme of the extreme sports. Base jumping is jumping off of fixed objects. This is off a bridge. This is one of the only man-made structures in the United States that's legal to jump off of.
Where was that?
This is out in Idaho, in Twin Falls.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah. So you just jump off a bridge and pop it, and here is that you?
Yeah, that's actually me. Yep. Wow. So this is kind of the whole next level of things, but yeah, it's kind of funny we talk about this. So everyone sees this and they think immediately adrenaline junkies, you know, and. You know, I will say that if I wrote down the top 10 reasons why I do any of this, adrenaline wouldn't even make the list. You know, it's all about, for one, I'm scared of heights. I hate heights.
Okay. It's like, you just jumped right there. You're facing your fears.
Exactly.
It's all about conquering your fears.
Okay. And the military wires you to kind of go after that. Like, you know, imagine what it's like, you know, getting ready to go into combat. You are scared. Anyone's scared. You should be scared. But you have to rely on your training and your skill to get you through it, as well as that team. And these extreme sports, like, you are scared going into it. Everyone in that plane ride going up is scared. Everyone climbing that mountain at some point has some fear in there. But you got the team, you got the guy next to you, and part of it's, you know, you got to perform so that way they can live as well. At the same side too, like, it's very empowering after you do that. And you're like, wow, I just faced my fear, you know. Like skydiving, you know, if you're scared to skydive, go do it. And after you do, you're like, oh my gosh, that was awesome. I can't believe I've been, you know, scared of this all this time. That was so much fun. And you know, you kind of like live in this prison of fear sometimes. And when you push past that, there's so much out there you can do.
Yeah.
I shared a video with Justin here the other day that really, you know, encapsulated that perfectly. It was Will Smith doing an inspirational speech about skydiving. Okay. He was telling about his experience of skydiving, and you know, he leading up to it, he was just terrified. You know, and then he got into the plane thinking, "Oh my God, I'm getting into the plane," and then they opened the door, and he's like, I just realized I've never been in a plane with the door open.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah,
And then, you know, he gets into the door and he says, you know, the tandem instructor goes 1, 2, and he said, they always push you on 2 because people grab on 3. He said, but for that first second, he said, I was terrified. He said, but at the point of maximum fear came maximum clarity.
And they jumped.
Yeah.
And then
he said it was so blissful. He said I was so, you know, the most fearful I've ever been in my life. But once I got past that fear, it was the most blissful experience I've ever had.
Yeah, by conquering that, I can see how that, and there's no other way to capture that after you've been through what you've been through overseas than doing something like this.
Right.
There's nothing else except these adrenaline rush. And that's the thing. I call it adrenaline rush. I know that's not high on your list of why you're doing it. But there's nothing else you can find to replace that.
I think there's a lot of parallels, you know, and I think it has a very beneficial result for veterans in improving their lifestyle after they go to the military.
All right, listen, we got to take a break on that note. We'll come back, continue our discussion. The number 7377587, and just give you a little more idea if that's something you want to try, how you can get involved, where you can go. I've already looked at your websites, and you've got a lot of stuff out there, Facebook as well, sites.
Yes.
We'll be back with more right after this. Stay with us.